Looks like we're live.
We're live?
We are live.
Oh my, happy Aloha Friday, everyone.
Hey.
What is it, November?
It feels like it's actually live, but I love that. I love that about it.
I don't know where the year went, but it's already November.
Oh man, I can't believe it.
We're in fourth quarter.
Yeah.
You ready for 2022?
No, man. I actually feel like it's still March. I don't know. I feel like it still needs to be March, but yeah, I guess so. I guess we got to roll with the punches.
Well, welcome, guys. It's Randy Hatata, broker for Xpand Realty, and we're here with the Vegas gal, Lacey Cerrone.
Hey there.
We'll be talking about the Las Vegas market and what's going on with it.
Yeah, there's a lot going on with it, so I'm excited. There's been some headlines this week too, so we'll get into that. But I'm
There's
stoked.
a lot going on. Hopefully, you keep it to the clean headlines.
Oh man. All right, Randy. At the morning. So here we go. So what's going on in the market? Let's get you started. You're the expert.
Let's get the played out negative stuff out the way.
Let's
with
do it.
this COVID-19. Everybody's over it. Vegas is open if you didn't know. Wide open, by the way.
Yes, we are.
Speaking of which, so we've had our major spike, which we peaked out in June, right? And that's when we went right here. We went right back down to the floor, and then we peaked out again in August.
Yeah.
And the reason was probably because that's when they opened Vegas back up,
Absolutely,
right?
yeah.
The strip open, restaurants open, casinos open, a lot of tourists, thus COVID counts went up.
Yeah.
But with that, COVID counts aren't that bad.
No, it's not. We've been maintaining pretty well, actually. I'm pretty proud of us.
Yeah, as a state, we've been doing better than the national average.
Yeah.
Our COVID high was here. Our current COVID high is here. So we're less than half of where we were.
Is that scientific, that measurement there? Or?
Can you tell?
I can totally tell. You're a
Can
scientist.
you tell by these glasses?
Mr. Wizard over here. I love it. I love
it. Anyways, this is very critical and scientific, guys. But the point is that COVID's down. People are traveling. People are here in Vegas, gambling, doing their thing.
Yeah, it's good. It feels good. Doesn't it feel good to have the city kind of coming back to life a little bit?
I get used to like having to be prepared with all the masks and protocols, and it's starting to get a lot more natural. But I can tell you the good thing about Las Vegas or Nevada in general is that we have more than 54% of our population that are vaccinated, 12 years or older. So hooray to us.
Yeah, but we're making progress. I know that was a sticking point for a while, but I've seen the evolution of the numbers too, and it's promising.
Yeah, and people might think of Las Vegas as Sin City, but we've been pretty responsible.
We've had a little bit of a halo over our head. Maybe it's a little cracked, but definitely a halo for sure.
So
we're trying.
So to give you numbers, we're over 3 million people vaccinated over 12 years old here in Las Vegas.
Yeah. Did you ever think you would say that number, over 3 million people in Las Vegas?
You know what? I'm going to get into some numbers since we're talking about the market, but no, I never
Can you believe that number?
Nor did Las Vegas. I mean, look at our streets.
I know.
We're not ready.
Oh, we never were. Listen, we are ready, first of all, but I don't feel like we're ready. It's just so much.
I don't think the infrastructure is ready.
We're getting there. We're getting there. Yeah.
I'll tell you why. And I bossed my friend's shop. He was a civil engineer for Clark County.
Oh,
and
man.
We tease him like, why didn't you do it right the first time when it comes to freeways and monorails and whatnot? And then he gives me his pushback, and I'm like, what is it, job security?
Yeah, exactly.
But we're constantly building, working on our roads, working on our infrastructure, working on our transit system, which could use some improvement.
Yeah, we're getting there though. It's funny. I've always joked with people since I was little, saying that the construction cone is our like state bird, or the crane is our state bird. You know what I mean? Or our state flower is the construction cone. Because it's an ever-present moving target, right? We're constantly evolving, constantly growing, and I love that about our city.
That's funny. I never thought of it that way. Well, one good thing is that they are building that train from California to Las Vegas.
What is that called? The high speed train, right? I can't remember the name of it. Bright line.
Yes, it's changed ownership about.
It's 73 times. yes, and maybe 74.
See how scientific we are.
Yes, yeah.
But with that, that should help out a lot of people with California commute.
Yeah.
And as you guys probably know, a lot of people are moving here for tax advantages, cost of living, and this will probably help people commuting back and forth from California.
I'm excited about that project.
Oh, just so you know, little hint or a little food for thought is that to be a resident in Las Vegas, you have to reside here 6 months out of the year.
Yep. Yeah.
So
to take advantage of our awesome taxes, which is no state income tax, a lot of really great tax breaks when it comes to property taxes. You have to be here 6 months out of the year. Solid.
How they're tracking it is not for me to tell you, but 180 days of the year you're supposed to be here.
How they're tracking it, wink, wink. We're not quite sure, but was I not supposed to do that? Oh, I was supposed to keep it clean. Sorry. Okay.
If you're gonna wink at the cameraman over there, lady. All right, moving on. So, why are people moving here?
I mean, are you going to really ask me, Las Vegas gal, that question, or are you asking the audience? Because I know why people are moving here. I know you know why people are moving here, but maybe we should make sure they know why people are moving here.
Yeah, maybe we should share why, right?
Right.
Well, let's start off who's moving here, right? California is moving here, number one.
Yeah. Isn't it something like 40% of our buyers, home buyers?
Yeah, it's right about that number. And as you know, 50% means half. So what does that mean?
Yeah.
California's a big impact on Las Vegas.
Right.
And they're the ones that, good or bad, they're the ones that have been driving the market up.
Yeah.
You know, amongst hedge funds and other entities, which are very heavy in Las Vegas.
Right.
But California, you know, you think about it, their average price points is $990, over 800,000, and if they're cashing out back in California,
it's a lot of dough to play with out here.
Yeah,
a lot.
I mean,
our median is like 405 or something, right? 405. So hello.
They take half their funds, they can buy cash at
and they have money left.
Point.
Yeah.
So for them, you know, they're willing to pay for what they want, willing to pay more than the market supports, thus giving us appreciation. So they're leading the way on pushing our market up.
Mm-hmm.
And if you didn't know, our market in Las Vegas has skyrocketed here in this year, for better or for worse, between 15 and 20%.
Yeah.
It's been the most in all of history.
Yeah.
So, you know, there's good and bads about it.
There are, yeah. I was going to say and interrupt you for a moment, just saying, like, it does feel as though with some of the changes that we've heard with interest rates and just all the stimulation that's been happening from the government, that that's going to be maybe slowed down a bit, that now I feel like it might, I don't know that we're ever going to drop prices, right? I mean, we're high for a reason, low inventory, things like that. But I do hope that we'll feel a balance come. And I'm feeling it a little, but I don't know if that's just the holiday season.
Let's go back to that part. But let's talk about like the reasons people are coming here. Let's keep it high level so we can move on to the more important meat and potatoes, right?
Okay, let's do it.
So why are people coming here?
Well,
I mean,
taxes obviously is a big part, like we said.
Cost of living.
I would say too, really like improvement on your lifestyle, right? Like the quality of life, I think, gets better when you move here. I know that a lot of people get upset about leaving the beach or leaving the water. I know you moved here from Hawaii, right?
I did.
And that was probably a hard thing to walk away from. But the opportunity in Las Vegas, you know, you can travel to the beach. You're an hour flight away. You're a 4-hour drive if you want to go to the California coastline, right? So that becomes a little bit more palatable when you look at the other improvements on your life. Our traffic does not look like it looks in Los Angeles or some of the major cities, right? So you're not going to spend half your day driving to work and driving home. You're actually going to have more quality of life at home or enjoying the entertainment.
Well, just based on the cost of living, I feel like if you're going to get a better financial.
You're giving yourself a raise, first of all, right?
At the end of the day, I mean, like, you know, you give yourself more financial stability. Now you can drive to the beach and do vacations and everything else.
Right.
But if you're like cringing to make rent or a mortgage next month, then it gets a little harder.
Yeah.
So with that, I mean, you look at cost of living, and we're just talking about this on another cast. And you take the ratio, if we're close to 2-to-1 on cost of living, you know, or you know, within reason.
Right.
If you're making half as much here in Las Vegas than you were out of state in the big cities, Hawaii, California, and within California, San Francisco, LA, and all that, then basically you're at the break-even point as far as standard and quality of life.
Right.
And
I mean, that's major. That's half. You can take a half pay cut and still live similarly.
So if people can take the income that they're making now and live here from a more expensive state, they're way ahead. They just give themselves a huge pay raise, and now you can buy more house, you can have more fun, and you know, I think that's the number one reason: housing and lifestyle, right?
Lifestyle, housing, obviously the tax and breaks and all those things too. But also, I think we've talked about this a lot, about how a lot of employers are allowing people to work remotely, right? And they don't care what state they reside in. I don't know how that works in terms of HR and payroll and what state's taxes they pay. I'm assuming it's where they reside. But it's really interesting to see that migration. I felt was a major kickoff during COVID as to what happened for people. Hey, if I can live anywhere, why would I not move there?
I mean, if there's any good that COVID did for Las Vegas, is basically give confidence to consumers that, or
to employers, right?
Employers, that employees can work remotely.
Yeah, and they can be productive and they can do their jobs. And man, that was a long time coming. Let me just say that was a long time coming. I'm so glad that the majority of employers are buying into that and continue to hang on to it as they move forward.
Right, because we follow it based on like actual black and white numbers.
Yeah.
But like in-house, as far as Xpand Realty is concerned, we follow based on our own buyers, so we know who's coming here. And just as important, our renters. We know who's applying, and we see a lot of our renters applying, and they're coming from
remote,
California address.
And they just prove that they're remote, and that they call it a day. So that's really important. Yeah.
6 months out of a year, guys. Anyway, moving on.
I just winked to the camera. Sorry.
Well, don't tell me about it.
Oh, I just did.
So moving on. We're talking about the market and do we see adjustments? Do we see a crash? I mean, the number one thing that people ask is the market going to crash?
I receive hundreds of comments and hundreds of DMs a week. Are people saying that we're waiting for the crash before we buy, or just wait, you're going to be out of a job when it crashes? I mean, because there's online trolls that like to be negative, and then there's the positive people saying, I hope there's not a crash. But the word crash comes through my inbox way more than it should. It's frustrating. I get upset thinking everyone is really watching the national headlines and some of these clickbait headlines that people
that's
want
the
to
key word.
click.
That's the key word.
National versus local.
National versus local. And a lot of people are looking at what's happening in our nation. What people don't know about Las Vegas is that we've done a lot of contrarian things to the rest of the market. And as things have got bad for the nation, people move here because of cost of living and
absolutely. Yeah. So I mean, there's still such a desire for people to be in our space because of our city and all the growth, and we can talk about that in a minute. But it's really not affecting us like they're claiming it might across the nation. And it's not 2008. We're not dealing with the same experience. This has nothing to do with what happened in 2008.
And by the way, guys, this is not by any means a sales pitch. This is just what's going on. People are going to come regardless if the Vegas gal says so or not. Right. People are coming.
They're coming anyway. I could turn my entire channel and brand around and say, stop coming to Vegas. And I've had people ask me to do that, Randy, because they love that it's so amazing here. They say, please don't let it get ruined. It's not going to be ruined. The city is going to grow and evolve.
Like the traffic, but
but the city's going to grow and evolve the way it should. And it's like an amoeba. She spreads and moves and goes and does what she has to do, and it will be fine. We are going to still invite you all to move here because it's such a rad place to live.
So on the big picture, guys, when people ask, is it going to crash? Is it a good time to buy? Is it a good time to sell? Just remember this in the long term. The U.S. Census has said that we would go from 1 million to 2 million people from the year 2000 to 2015. They are now saying from 2015 to 2030, we're going to double again, another 1 million people.
Right.
And we're on pace to do that. We're at 2.25, I believe. And so we have 750,000 people to go in 8 years. So guys, what does that mean? Number one, we have a shortage of housing for rent and for sale, guys.
Majorly.
Resale and brand new. And then we'll go more into that. We'll go down that rabbit hole just a little bit.
Yeah.
But I mean, I get all excited, as you can see, because people need to know. And a lot of people are working off very skewed statistics or national averages.
Clickbait too.
Yeah.
And it's frustrating. And honestly, at the end of the day, while there is low inventory, which I don't think will be resolved anytime soon. We're going to have low inventory for quite some time, both rental, resale, and new home. While that is happening, and rates are still historically low, and even if they uptick a bit, we're still going to have the same situation. So that does not equal crash. That equals maybe a small slowdown if interest rates go up a little bit. We can talk about that if we need to. But the real balancing act is that inventory, right? The desire of people to move here, the onslaught of people coming, and that inventory number. Those are the two major components.
Well, I think the two major things that I look at when we look at a crash, right, is we look at our 2009, 2010 market, right, and what happened. Number one, we don't have those subprime loans with people that don't have skin in the game. Today, we've surpassed our market high in 2006 by just a little bit, but enough where most people who have home ownership have equity. So even if they have a financial problem or financial distress,
right,
they simply sell. And now that the eviction moratorium has kind of expired, except for the local one, which is just a delay, we're going to see a little bit more listings. But with that, people can sell before they foreclose. And they don't have to short sell because they're not negative equity.
Right. So you're not seeing that issue that we saw in 2008. And I have to remind people constantly, because there's, you know, it's a polarizing thing, right? It's, well, this happened once before. I saw that headline in 2008, 9, and 10. That's not the same headline. It's not the same experience. And we just want to make sure that you're operating off of the truth and off of reality locally here versus history that's not repeating itself, as well as a national. We don't want you to look at the national stuff.
So a lot of people bring up the word phantom inventory. We'll leave that at Halloween, guys, because phantom inventory, it's not there.
That was really good.
You know,
I like that. That was actually really quick.
I just thought of that, by the way.
That was very good, yeah.
But anyways, phantom inventory, like back in the day, the banks would do the foreclosure process, and foreclosure is a process. It's not a thing. And the foreclosure process takes time, and because there were an influx of it and the banks weren't prepared, and they had all that robo-signing legal issues, foreclosures took a long time, and that's where that phantom inventory was sitting with, you know, with the consumers waiting for that to hit the market.
Right.
Today, you know, like it just isn't there. Like the people who, if any, have phantom inventory is the hedge funds. You know, like, you know, I don't like talking names, but like.
Oh, but why don't
I'll put it out there because it's fact. Like hedge funds such as Blackstone, you might have heard of them. Very large, very huge real estate investor. They came in 2009, 2010, 11, 12 during our foreclosure era, but all the homes they could by the thousands, and they held on to them. They have yet to release them. So they're holding them. They're holding at rentals. They're getting good cash flow off of them.
And with rental rates continuing to rise, why would they let them go anytime
soon? So they bought them when the prices were cheap. Today, they're still here buying, and these are some of the smartest people in America. They're buying again because money is cheap. So housing is not as cheap as it used to be, but money is
rates,
cheap.
Baby. I mean, geez, what? And that's the thing. It's like, you know, you just have to really pay attention to the reality of today's situation. Yes, they're still doing some of the same things from before to now, but it's not because of the same reasoning, you know.
Oh no, it's hedging against inflation. It's you know, expanding their portfolio so they can bring investors on. But the long story short is that some of the smartest people in America are still investing in Las Vegas. With that, they hold the inventory. So if there's phantom inventory that we're not tracking as realtors from the regular MLS standpoint, it's those guys who hold all these properties and they're cash flowing it. But guess what? I believe that these guys are so smart that they're not going to unload them all in one day, 1 month, and shoot themselves in the foot and crash the market.
Exactly.
They're going to start trickling them out when it's time to sell them, thus maintaining that dollar amount, you know, day to day, and protecting their investment.
You're right. And I love that you call them the smartest people in America, because they really are. And it's frustrating when you hear people say, oh, real estate, I'd rather just rent. I'd rather just do this, that, and the other. Well, I mean, we're even seeing the same problem, and a worse problem, honestly, in the rental market. So for those who don't believe that real estate's a good investment anymore, or they're reading those clickbait headlines that millennials aren't buying homes and all that stuff that is just flat out not true. The reality is real estate is one of the best investments for that reason. Look at the smartest people in America and where they're putting their money in a physical, tangible thing that continues to earn them money on a monthly basis.
It is. And you have somebody that's, you know, invest in different things telling you that. So just, you know, just, you know, food for thought.
Yeah, definitely.
And at the end of the day, you know, like real estate goes in cycles. So regardless, even if there were adjustments and whatnot, it goes in cycles. But what is pretty much guaranteed to a certain extent is cash flow, because people have to live somewhere.
Home has never been more important truly than now. You know, people got to find a place to live, right? And we're low on that. So.
And when people talk about is it too late to buy, or shall I wait?
No.
Well, what's the alternative?
Yeah.
Is it if you have a place to stay, mom and dad, friend, you know, uncle, auntie, whatever,
right?
That's a great alternative.
Right.
But if you're gonna rent, make sure you do your homework on our today's rental market, because it is more aggressive than our sales market.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, right now there are people fighting to get rentals with multiple applications over a weekend.
Yep, it's really crazy.
And our rent market has completely shot through the roof.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, you know, like, by all means, this is not against renters, because there's a space for rentals and renters, and it gives you a lot of flexibility amongst other things. But the one thing that it doesn't give you is rent security. Right. There is no caps on how much you can raise rent here in Nevada.
Yep.
And you know, our consumer renters are experiencing that right now, where we just are getting out of COVID, and landlords are starting to up their rent, including apartment buildings and everything else.
Yeah.
And so what's the alternative? If you're going to rent and your rent's going to continue to go up, and you can buy and stabilize a mortgage that doesn't change for 30 years, except for the fact that you pay more principal to yourself.
Right.
I mean, that might be a good idea.
Right. And we're constantly, when we work, I know the team at Xpand here, that all of the realtors here are so invested in making sure that you're doing what's going to be right for you. We're not just trying to just sling houses and get you into a house. That's not our bottom line here. We don't do business that way here. We do business from the heart. We want to make sure that you're investing for your future. If we sell a house to you, cool, that's great, but that's not our end all goal. Our goal is to make sure you're making the right decision, whether it be move here, whether it be get settled, whether it be turn from a renter to a buyer, whether it's, sell a home that you had because you just don't want to own a home anymore and you want to move on and live out of a van. Whatever that looks like, we want to make sure that you're making the decisions that are going to be the right one for you and for your long-term investment.
That's a great point. And just, from a broker standpoint for Xpand Realty, we're not pushing, our goal is not to push sales.
No.
It is to service our clients.
Yep.
And that could mean renting, that could mean property management, that could mean sales. But when you guys are happy,
the
world goes round and we're happy because everything else kind of balances each other out.
Yeah, and that's why I've chosen to bring my team to work with the Xpand team here. Randy operates like my team does. That's why I know several of the other agents that work for us feel the same way about you, Randy, and about your philosophy on business and just on Las Vegas in general. So it's refreshing.
So to summarize this whole conversation, I think that we may see some adjustments, maybe, because no one has that crystal ball.
Right.
But both of us, I think we both are on the same page that we don't see a crash.
There's no accidents happening here. No crashes happening on the freeways, right?
Yeah. So one reason was, what was the first reason? No foreclosures and short sales.
Yeah. Inventory is still quite low, so there's still a demand for the homes that are being put on the market for rental and for sale and for new homes too. Still very hectic out there for that.
And the second reason that I had is that we're not overbuilding. In fact, we're building less than a half.
Yeah.
Even though it seems like a lot, the new home builders, based on permitting, is building less than half of the homes they built during that 2006 time. So just remember, we have all these people coming. Inventory is slowly growing, but at a slower pace than the aggressive 2006. And so everything is starting, like I know you were getting into it, and
you're good.
It feels like it's starting to balance out.
It's balancing a little bit, and by the balance is good, right? A little bit of a slowdown is good. I don't know if it's a slowdown because of the holiday season or if it's genuinely because of what we briefly touched on, which was the possibility of the stimulus to the economy. The economy is overstimulated right now, right? So with that possibly being pulled back a little bit, if that's the reason, but regardless, all of that is a good thing for us. We would love a little bit more of a balanced market. We want our buyers and our sellers to have a happy medium. We want people to be paying what the home is worth versus having to pay over if they don't have to, right? We want all of that to work, and the only way for that to do is for things to slow down a little bit, maybe a small correction, but we don't know.
So back to the numbers based on like new permits, which is how we figure out how fast new builders are building. Here's the actual stat. In 04 to 07, they pulled 82,500 permits.
Wow.
Today, 2019 to 21, they only pulled 29,938 permits.
I did not know that number. Wow.
So that's actually I said less than half.
It's less than
it's a third of what they did in 2006. So
wow.
They're building very slowly, but a lot has to do with COVID has slowed down permitting and construction and labor.
Pipeline and supply chain pipeline, things like that are definitely slowing things down a little bit too. But that's a surprising number. I actually didn't know that. I should have been looking at your cheat sheet over there.
Hey, whoa. I'm trying to look smart here. But at the end of the day, the important thing is real simple. It goes back down to simple supply and demand.
Yep.
And right now, demand is here, and I think it'll continue to be here as people continue to move to Las Vegas.
Yep.
And supply will continue to get less and less and less. And just remember, supply is based on availability of land, which we have much less than 10% buildable residential land left. Availability of water. The government is saying if we don't have enough water and they don't solve that problem within a timely manner, they're going to put a building moratorium up, which means no more building until they figure things out. Again, shrinking supply. Right, and then what else? So we have land, we have water. I guess those are the major ones.
Those are the major things, honestly. It's really just to your point, supply and demand and the growth of the city.
I was going to leave this out. The third is kind of hedge funds that hold all that phantom supply. So,
but I couldn't agree with you more. I don't foresee. There's holding it for a reason, because that's what real estate is. It's a long-term investment. You hang on to it. The longer you hang on to it, the more money you make. That's the bottom line, right? So it's tough unless they're looking to do major payouts to their investors or having to do something to offset their the money they're putting out to get more, I don't foresee them doing a big, huge of homes on the market. I do think maybe trickling, like you said, if they have to.
When I say hedge against inflation, to break that down, basically inflation is going to happen and our dollar is getting less and less and less. And so that's why after talking to a lot of the leaders for these hedge funds, they're coming in to hedge against this inflation. Is that usually real estate keeps up with inflation, and as inflation goes up, real estate prices go up as well. So just remember this from your personal standpoint. By putting money under your mattress, and sorry bankers, in savings accounts and all of that at 0.00 whatever it is interest rate savings, inflation is surpassing that number, so you're actually losing money by holding cash. Sorry to say it, but that's why a lot of people are investing in real estate.
I love it. This was like a pretty solid update. I was going to bring up other things, but I feel like we covered everything as far as that goes. These are all the questions people are asking. These are what people reach out to me about, and I know they call you about every single day from all over the world, honestly. So for us to be able to provide these updates on a pretty consistent basis and be putting out content through the new Xpand YouTube channel. Hope you're subscribing while you're watching us right now, and all of our Instagram and Facebook and LinkedIn. It's really our goal to continue to spread the positive word of, yes, there's some crazy things happening in the world, but we feel like there's opportunities for people to really take advantage of the situation and also make sure that they're solidifying their future from a financial perspective.
100%. And with that, I'm going to leave you with one more tip, investors or even homeowners, which is theoretically an investment, right? When you buy a home. There's a theory, it's called follow the money. And at the end of the day, we have
Reagan thing. Was that a Reagan thing? No, he was.
Moving on, we have over $20 billion in projects right now in Las Vegas. And so if you follow the money is here, which means the big investors and the big funds believe in Las Vegas. They're here building. I mean, Lacey and I can both tell you about all the projects going on, but we don't want to drown you with a 3-hour reel.
Go to our Instagram. Instagram, we got it all over there.
In fact, you already did a post, and we'll be doing a post as well. But I mean, $20+ billion in projects. And so, if the big monies are here, I wouldn't worry too much about the long run.
I feel like I need to play that song. Money, 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 money. I love it. I love it. Thanks for having me on today. This was awesome. I love being able to tell the world about this, and I just always feel so much smarter when I sit next to you. Maybe it's because you have good notes. I should probably bring notes next time.
Maybe it is.
It's the notes. I don't know what it is. It's the glasses. It's the notes.
I think it's the earrings.
It's Hawaii. I don't know. I got my boombox cassette tape earrings here to bring a little bit of flair.
How old are you guys anyway? I'm only asking because she's wearing cassette tapes. And
do you even know what these are?
Some of you might not even know what a cassette tape is.
Mixtape, baby, mixtape. If you don't know what they are, if you're still okay to buy a house from us, we still love you. We'll be okay. But no, at the end of the day, I'm just trying to bring a little fresh, ficker fresh.
We have fun over here, and I had to jab her back.
Thank you. We do a lot of the jousting. We joust a little bit. I love it.
Well, we appreciate your time, you guys. This is just a very high-level update. We'll get into numbers in the future and all of the above. But if you need more information or want more information, reach out to us here at Xpand Realty.
We've got information in the description for them, actually. So there's a phone number, there's an email. Just email us, call us. We'll absolutely answer your questions directly, because every single person's information
Where's
is going
the
to be
description?
different.
Is it here?
Down below.
Down below.
Down below. See you next time. Thank you so much, Randy.
Thank you for following us.